Introducing Canadian Passages, a project that brings history to life with audio versions of archival material. These audiograms use digital voices to make historical writings accessible anytime, anywhere. Museums and archives offer a wealth of primary sources that put a spotlight on historical events and social history not found elsewhere. Letters and diaries, particularly, offer personal insights into the past. The materials in this series come from the archives of the Canadian Forces Base Esquimalt Naval and Military Museum. Each episode takes passages from letters, diaries, or essays and converts them into audio. In one episode, a 14-year-old Navy cadet recounts the Halifax explosion of 1917 in his journal.
The walls of our building shook and a shower of glass and plaster followed. I had been looking over a newspaper with the far right side of my face towards the windows. I was hit by several pieces of glass. For a few seconds I was dazed. Then I dashed along the hall through the rain of plaster and out the door which had been laid flat. When I reached the lawn I threw myself on my face. Whether from instinct or from subconsciously following the example of others I do not know. For a few moments I lay there, feeling, rather than seeing, that there were others around doing the same thing. There were large quantities of dust, pieces of plate, and other debris whizzing through the air, and they caused me to wonder if the Germans were raiding the town. A large piece of boilerplate crashed through the roof of Study 8. I thought that it would not be long before the Germans got the college.
In another episode, the same cadet is now a lieutenant serving at the China Station on a Royal Navy cruiser in the early days of the Chinese Revolution. He describes departing from Shanghai in a letter he wrote on the 27th of April 1926.
We left Shanghai yesterday. To turn in the narrow and crowded Wangpu River we had to go up at slack water to a bend in the river, let go an anchor, and swing with the assistance of the first of the flood. All would have been well if the river were emptier, but the flood swept us down on a steamer at anchor and she had to veer clear. Then proceeding downstream, a steamer shoved off from the jetty without considering us, and the tide bore us over to her side and we scraped along her. All our boats were out and might have been crushed to matchwood, but they escaped with a few scratches.
In the 1930s, our sailor is a lieutenant commander serving as torpedo officer in the 1st Destroyer Flotilla in the Mediterranean. The flotilla was on its winter cruise, which referred to a major scheduled deployment of the fleet for intensive training exercises and a show-the-flag tour. He wrote about his experience in a letter dated the 29th of January 1933.
We sail tomorrow at 0700, and after fighting every inch of the way are billed to arrive at Malta on Wednesday morning. It would be well in keeping if the weather there were so bad as to make it impossible to get ashore. Destroyers have had a thin time at Anchorage Z. We've had to keep steam and set anchor watch a great deal of the time. In addition, Beagle dragged in the night and bumped Brazen. Akate's dented her bows going alongside an oiler. Daring's brand new capstan engine has refused duty. It's a shocking design and God only knows why it was allowed to go to sea. And Defender filled an oil tank so full that it burst the deck above and overflowed over everything. 2 of our new ships have to go to dockyard for repairs before they've been out of the builder's hands a dog watch.
The Canadian Passages project hopes to make these unique materials more accessible to audiences around the world. For more information about our project, visit canadianpassages.ca.